Recently, because I mean, I just want to sit and write. Don't bother me with other things. But recently I noticed that I had to do more. Like, for example, the book on Mindanao. I had to call people, NGOs, universities, and I even convinced one foundation to fund this book tour that I would do, you know, in the dangerous places like Cagayan or Marawi, Cagayan is not dangerous, Cotabato, and just talk to, you know, people at university. But that was scrapped because they said there was no budget. Initially they wanted to do that. So I find myself doing that now more than I used to. And I think it depends too on the context of your book. I mean, obviously this is Mindanao, so I wanted people in Mindanao to be reading about it because it's from a non-Mindanao person's point of view. And then maybe later on do it here in Manila and get the NGOs and politicians, even the activism together. But I also wanted it to be broader. I just didn't want like a special group of people. So, well, of course, Facebook helps. I mean, and it also helps that the image journalists are in contacts with the press, so I could always give them review copies and they do the reviews.
For a short fictionist, that's one of the hats that I wear. I love writing short stories. Wow, that's a tough thing. What I learned is you have to keep being published consistently and you build up your brand. You build up your name so that people will eventually recognize your byline and they associate you with a particular kind of story, a particular kind of fiction, and they'll start looking for you. And interestingly, I don't go and normally submit a ton of stuff. I don't have a ton of stuff despite my inventory. But I've had editors looking for me from different countries, inviting me to soliciting a story from me. So it's not even being, why don't you submit and then we'll see if it's good enough to publish. It's solicited and they pay me to write the story. And that's because they saw my name appearing in these things and they read a couple of my stories, and then there's word of mouth, there's Facebook. And then it turns out that there is, okay, being Filipino, it's so easy to fall into the trap of parochialism and you're just here and isolated and, you know, we can't compete, we're just Filipino. But it turns out that there is a lot of support for writers, not a Filipino, because that's, you strip that, okay, unless that's what you're selling. But if you're selling a story, you don't need to be Filipino or Indian or whatever, you're a writer. And your story is the story. It's competing on the world stage. And then you have support from editors, writers, stripped of nationality, because really, you don't want to carry that burden. You don't. So you get rid of that. Then you cultivate contacts, you cultivate these things. And eventually, you're there. You're able to get published already. But it's still always a competition. Nothing is guaranteed. But in my case, it has to be disciplined writing. You have to have inventory. I'm talking short fiction, okay? For my novel writing, I'm stop and spurt. Salamanca, I wrote it in 1 month. I did. When I look back, that's crazy, okay? I wrote it in 1 month. The second one is taking quite a longer time. But I'm happier with my short fiction. So, I guess that's the answer to number 1. It's discipline and getting your name out there. For number 2, I wear multiple hats. I am also a businessman. And I'm not a huge publisher, but I also publish. And one of my businesses is I run a design agency and we do marketing. So yes, definitely, marketing is part of it. How do you get people to pay? People will pay for what they choose to pay for. And they will pay for what they like. They will pay for quality. Yes, there will always be pirates and all of these things. But the entire economic civilization has not collapsed just yet. And we still have faith that there are people willing to pay for content. And there are. So, that's it.
Being part of the audience. No, I just wanted to know if you felt the same way that people think, of course, your market are readers, diba? Do you think the market is expanding? Is it getting smaller? I mean, we get stuff like, for example, Twitter. Everything is just microblogs. Everything is shorter. Everything is quick access. Actually, even I just skim through stuff, I mean, especially for someone in my lifestyle, for example. So, does it seem like the way people's lifestyles are changing these days? Is it making the reader sort of market smaller or bigger, or what do readers look like these days? Scary question.
Kick off with a scary question. That is a good question. I guess large publishers like Wiley and the other guys, they keep expanding, they keep growing year after year. So somebody's buying these books, you know. I think I'd say actually that maybe being looking at it optimistically. I think that there's always going to be a reader base there, and I think it's probably expanding. And it's just a matter of how you package that information paper. I mean, it depends on your definition of a reader. You know, a paying reader. Exactly, yeah. But I mean, we're already doing condensed books and apps of books, and so and I see a sort of growing market in that area. I mean, people are just getting busier and busier, and I think when we publish our books, and a lot of the books we publish, we rarely expect someone to read it from cover to cover. I mean, I think that the way that you read a book is changing. And so, I mean, we're just happy as long as they keep buying books. That's the bottom line. But I don't think it will diminish actually the market. I think, and maybe even if you think about the way the world is changing, globalization got increasingly wealthy, growing middle classes, China, India, more people, aspirations to improve themselves. I would say that actually there's probably, globally a growing reader base.
I've never really done any research on the readership of my books, for some strange reason, but I was just thinking of like the first book I read about the military, the Thru, which was first published in 1991, and I did a new version, an updated version, which came out in 2009, and I was thinking, nobody's going to get this, nobody's going to read it because it's basically the same thing, and I just added a few 3 extra chapters, but it sold out. The first printing sold out. So sometimes there are things that you don't expect to happen that happens, and also I think it depends on the writing, because like with journalism, I know there's a style to it. It's short, it's concise, so it's easier for readers to just to read, basically, instead of going into longer details and all that. And somehow in my writing, I tend to stick to that kind of style. And also I noticed that when you go to places like I said, universities or stuff in workshops or just talks like this, and normally there are books there selling. I mean, people will go and buy it. I noticed that when you talk more about what you've written and the experience that you went through.
Even before the advent of the digital and what have you, there were always people who would love to read and people who couldn't be bothered to read. There are always people who will pick up the paperback. There are people who will happily buy the hardcover. Things have not changed. It's just that the delivery systems are in flux. And publishers and authors and independent publishers are in the process of trying to find a way to address the new needs of the emergent market. And everyone is emergent in this sense. With the advent of blogging, everyone became a publisher. And everyone started publishing content. Not everything is good. But after the heyday of the first couple of years of blogging, a lot of the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of bloggers just can't contain this. But the people who write very well, who have readerships, continue to produce content, and they have readerships, which means that people will read them. So that's happening in the digital age, which is now. We're in the cusp, if not in fact, right now there's change occurring. So what's happening is people's needs have changed. With the microblogging that you mentioned, with the Facebook status, with all of these things. we have here right now is a case of everything here forever, available, always and forever. Why? Because even our beloved geek culture, my beloved Teen Titans, your Logan's Run, all these, the Prisoner TV show, you can now find online in some digital form. Okay? Which means that everyone is free to go and search. So yes, there's a confusion in the market because no one is packaging this correctly. And we have to find a way to monetize it. I'm with you. I'm a businessman too. No, because without the business, there is no income for the author. It's all well and good to say the internet is free and content should be free. Really? Who's paying the person writing that you are pirating? So, you got happily the latest copy of #1 bestseller. Great. You have a version that is EPUB that you can read on your Kindle or your Stanza or whatever it is that you're using. You did not pay for it and you're happy. Consider the fact that the livelihoods of so many people are being screwed. And you multiplied by however many of you who are pirating that, it's just a death knell. What if someday people just said, you know what, I don't want to write anymore because it's not working out for me. I can't support my family. It's not fun for me anymore. I feel oppressed and taken advantage of. We will just have endless recycled content, which is great for you. Because you have to hire people to repackage and all that. But after a while, you know, you have to own up to the fact that we owe it to the people who are content producers to support them by buying. And by showing them that the vote of trust in their imagination and creativity is in our case, a peso. In his case, dollar. Singapore dollar, US dollar. It's a vote. And we have to be responsible. Now, I'd be a hypocrite if I said I don't download much. Thanks. Not very often. It's so tempting, right? And I won't up to that. But the fact is, I make it a point with my Amazon Kindle and my iPad that I will buy the digital copy of the book. I don't care if it's $5 or $11, but really a $25 Kindle book is too much. Alright? Then you punish Amazon. But a reasonable price, I mean, I go to a Starbucks, I don't want to steal the coffee. I will pay your retail price. If I can get a discount, I'm happy. But I'm not here to freeload. Right? And neither should we. How, you know what? It becomes our responsibility because we're all in this together, says the quoting High School Musical. We are. And ultimately, each person, it makes a difference. So that's my advocacy. So, moving on.